Are we ready?
The little bar is advancing. It's thinking.
Okay, let me know.
All right, we are officially live.
Okay, thank you, Becky. All right, I'd like to call the June 14th, 2021 meeting of the Henrietta Historic Site Committee meeting to order at 6:34. And we have all of our committee members in attendance except for Dave Oliver, who is out with a medical issue, and Michelle Liebel, who just now contacted me, and she's has to work late. So if something comes up, I can text her and she'll respond, but at the moment she's a little tied up. So the first thing is I'd like to get the approval of the minutes from the May 3rd meeting, which you've all had copies sent to you, and I believe you all have copies here. So are there any comments, questions, or changes you think should be made? She's still reading. Okay, none being heard, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the May 3rd, 2021 Historic Site Committee meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Okay. A vote. All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And Ray, we can't hear you, so,
Aye.
okay, thank you. I lost you on the TV screen. Okay, so. Now, before we move into the list of correspondence with Ray, I just want to let everybody know and congratulate Tyler, whose house just became the newest addition to the rolls of the Henrietta Historic Sites at this past Wednesday's town board meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just so you know, Tyler's been working quite a bit with some other people who are interested in getting their houses either on our rolls or a couple of the houses that are presently on the rolls onto the National Register. So thank you for all that hard work. And the other thing I'd like to do before we roll into this is thank Becky. Becky has been doing a very good job trying to keep the town webpage up to date with all the new changes, and she's making suggestions on things to do. So we really appreciate that. People are noticing it, so it's appreciated. Thank you, Becky. Okay, Ray, do you want to go through the correspondence that we've received?
Sure, I can. So the first correspondence was in regards to the house research information, and you had sent out an email to the committee with documents and spreadsheets pertaining to house research, and sent a link that directs to the town webpage where the 2021 tentative assessment roll is located. Correspondence 2 is a map of Henrietta, and you had received an email from Jeremy of the map showing ranges and lots overlaid on a present day map of Henrietta. That will ideally help act as a present day reference.
And I believe I forwarded that to all of you. If you didn't receive it, just please let me know and I'll make sure you get it, because that can be used with the house research. Okay.
Correspondence 3 was in regards to 3067 East Henrietta Road, and that was a email Becky emailed to report that the property, which is formerly a beautiful mess, the owner will be tearing down the brick portion of the structure and only keeping the addition. And Gary, you supplied everybody with photos of that property.
Right, and as you probably all know, that has been torn down and there's now a blank spot there.
Yep.
Tina and I went and saw it a couple days before it was taken down, which is where the pictures came from. And then it's gone. Next.
Item 4 was 5628 West Henrietta Road. Supervisor Schultz was provided a letter that the Charles E. Walker House is now on the National Register of Historic Places.
So that's Michael's Heading's house in the West Hamlet that has the big, well, part of the American flag is still there, has the big American flag on the side of the barn. He's doing work on that. Apparently he's working with SHPO for some grant for the barn.
Oh, good.
So I don't know the particulars, but. Next.
Item 5 correspondence was just some properties that went up on market. Gary, you had reported that 1590 Lehigh Station Road is for sale. Becky had noted that 145 Stone Road will be going up for sale, as well as 777 Martin Road is also up for sale.
Okay.
Item 6 was training. Tina has provided information pertaining to Monroe County Planning and Development's Spring 2021 land use decision-making training sessions.
Do you have any comments on that, Tina?
Well, the training sessions have ended.
Right.
Because they were in May. I attended 2. I attended recognizing Indigenous people, the history and geography in local planning in our region. And I also attended a discussion of New York's quirky system of local government. We're a state that has a very multi-tiered governmental system, and many states, if they have county governments, they don't have town governments or village governments. They don't have all of them. They just have 2 of the 3. And so there was a brief discussion about, which would be better for New York, if we should move to town governments and not have village governments anymore. But it's tricky because they're in place already. And so, but it's something that going forward, they're probably going to look at as far as planning goes. And the program about recognizing I'm not sure I'm going to say this right, the Haudenosaunee people who were here before us. It was a very interesting discussion about ways that we can recognize their presence here when we tell the story of our communities. And so I suggested when we start working on the exhibits panels for the Chapman Park on the corner of West Henrietta and Erie Station, that we recognize, the Indigenous people who were here. So I did send an email to the director at Gwandagan, and I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was going to talk about that during the Chapman, but that's good. I didn't realize that you'd taken a program on that.
And Tina, not so long ago, PBS had an educational piece in the morning. This was back when the kids were not going to school and they were playing a lot of those sorts of things. And it was a really great piece about, the Iroquois Nation and how our Constitution has all been, modeled after that.
Right.
And I'm just wondering if, maybe even looking at if they had a transcript or something like that, that we could take a look at maybe some wording or whatever, as well as, is it still Peter Jefferson who is in Onondaga?
I think it is. Yeah,
Sure, they have stuff as well.
right.
It was an excellent,
Okay.
excellent piece that they put together on PBS.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next.
Item 7 was the development of the ad hoc committees. Becky had sent out basically looking for residents to apply to the ad hoc committees, which have since been developed.
Right, the Good Shepherd Church and the Burger Farm Homestead Ad Hoc Committee was discussed at the past town board workshop, and it was created at this past Wednesday night's town board meeting. The list of who's on that committee is available on the web. Michelle from our committee is our liaison to that committee, and Anita is the liaison for the Historical Society Committee to that committee. Steve was going to join us tonight, and Becky had said that he may pop in later via Zoom. He had something going on. She wasn't sure when. I was going to have him update on what's happening with that when he.
Or in person. It'll be a surprise.
Okay, thank you. Whichever. Not if we get done really quick, though, right?
Well, that's true. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay, Ray, sorry, go ahead.
Item 8 of correspondence was preservation scorecard. Becky provided a PDF of the Landmark Society's newsletter that has their preservation scorecard, which made note of the former Good Shepherd Church property. However, it kind of inaccurately attributed the preservation work to the Rush Henrietta School District.
I have written an update for that scorecard, and Gary and Becky have both checked it for me to make sure that I have everything in there that needs to be there, and I forwarded it to the supervisor before. He likes to see things before they go out. So
Right.
I'm just waiting to hear back from him, and then I'll send it to the Landmark Society.
Right, and once he approves it, I'll send it out to, or Tina can send it
And
out
I'll
to
send
all
it
of
to
us
the
so
rest
we
of the
know
committee.
what's happening. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Ray.
Item 9 was Chapman Corners Park. Gary, you were in correspondence with Ann Stevens about the park and requested an application for historic site designation for the property.
And I did forward the information that she requested. I actually visited with her and Bill out at the park one afternoon, and we discussed some of the things that they wanted to do. They have some really good thoughts on how they want to handle this. They want to make it very historic for the Hamlet. They want to have a kiosk, for lack of a better term, the building there with different exhibits having to do with Henrietta from the start till now. And they want to have a mural of the Three Sisters ice cream on one part of it, and a mural of the West Hamlet in the early days, probably from one of the early postcards we supplied her. That hasn't been decided. She's going to have an artist working with her on that. And she requested it, so therefore I had to send it to her. And then Steve and I discussed it, and I got back with her and made the suggestion to her that, yes, we would love you to make this a historic site. Okay, thank you, Becky. At the moment, it was thought it would be beneficial to get some of the work they want to do done before they make it a historic site. Therefore, it would not have to go through Article 10 for every step that they're trying to do. So at the moment, she's holding that until they get more of the stuff done. Obviously, it's their property. They want to keep control of it. They have some really good ideas. I was hoping Steve could give us an update on his thoughts about when that committee is going to be put together and start doing things. At the moment, the Good Shepherd is the higher priority for him. So.
And the 10th item on correspondence is 1063 Erie Station Road, which the town board gave approval of application to designate 1063 Erie Station Road a Henrietta Historic Site.
Again, thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, everyone.
And Becky has just texted me and said, one of the people you've been in contact with, I believe this is one of them, Jen, has just come in on Zoom and she has a question. So go ahead, Becky.
Okay, and Jen, if you would like to say your question yourself, feel free. Just raise your hand to indicate to me. Okay, there she is. All right, thank you for saving me from reading this out loud. I would be happy to, but you can probably do it better.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. And bear me, I've got a dog in the hang so she might bark. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, let me just shut my door.
And Jen, if you could just do me one favor, if you could tell us your name and your address.
Sure. My name's Jen Casasana. My property is 235 Scottsville, West Henrietta Road, over in West Henrietta. And I've been doing research. We've been here about 6 years. And I've done a lot of research on the property. I just found out last week that it was likely built about 1850. And the problem is, well, not problem, but we're part of Riverton. So our property was one of the homes that sold land to create Riverton. And so we're part of a whole HOA. So I was just curious to see if, you know, our location, because I know it is a historic property. I know it's a historic home. And I do have, you know, proof for that, but I didn't know, like, what about an HOA and this kind of thing? Because we're totally lumped in with Riverton, even though we're a private home.
I don't know.
To be honest, at the moment, I can't give you an intelligent answer with that.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that any property owner in Henrietta, via the town code, any property owner in Henrietta can apply for historic site designation. The application for that is online. Haven't had anything come up where the Riverton HOA has an impact. That would
Okay.
be a good question for Steve if he, when he comes in. Or I can do some research on that and find out now that I've got your name and address.
Yeah, we have, I mean, there's a couple other houses. I think there's probably that would be considered Riverton. There's at least 2 to 3 other properties that have to be maybe not as old as ours, but pretty close. And we're all on Scottsville, West Henrietta Road. So we're outside of that cul-de-sac. So I don't know, was curious to see. Yeah, all right, I'll check it out then.
Okay, yes, and I just had just received the email from Tyler before the meeting
Yeah.
started, that you've been corresponding back and forth with him, so he'll be a good contact person for you.
Great.
I know I'd seen your original question on Facebook, on our page on Facebook.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll look into this. Now that I've got your address, we'll have more specifics and we'll figure that part of it out.
All right. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. So that'll be under new business for the next meeting, right? So the next thing on the agenda, that was all the correspondence, was old business, which was the Architectural Heritage Award. And that was awarded to Molly and her husband, David, at the May 26th Town Board meeting. Was there another? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you wanted to see the award presentation, it's right at the beginning of the town board meeting, and you can go to the
YouTube.
YouTube video and just watch that part of it if you
Yep.
want to see Molly.
And if you're interested and can't find it, email me and I'll send you the link that takes you to that town board meeting. It was nice. I mean, COVID, we couldn't do what we normally would do, but it was nice. Any other old business you guys can think of? No? Okay. So project committee reports. Number one was Steve, and we'll wait a little bit and see if he is able to join us. And as I said, the ad hoc committee for that has been formed. Peter Belay is a member of that also. You remember Peter? He was going to be here tonight. He's been here before. He's one of the ones that interviewed for when we brought Tyler on. Very, very familiar with handicap accessible type things, so he should be a good addition to that. I have contacted James Finelli. I think that's how he pronounces it, but from SHPO. He is the one that oversees the tax credit program and the grant programs for this county, for Monroe County, to see if there's any potential grants available to help with the projects we're trying to do at the Good Shepherd Church. I have not had an email back from him yet. I'm going to send Virginia an email also, so she's on board with what's happening. So the West Hamlet committee research updates. I know Anita had a question about the historic house research.
I kind of got stuck with my house on step 5, so maybe we can talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
Part of it, I think, is the house isn't as old as others. It was 1926, so I don't know, but
Okay.
it should have fallen within that.
Yeah, it should be in a couple of the maps.
area. So
Yeah.
Anyhow, but maybe it was just,
Okay.
not figuring
Well,
out.
this is all new,
Right.
so how we're doing this. So that's why I asked to see how people are making out with the template, you know? The East Hamlet, Dave's not here tonight. The only other thing going on in the East Hamlet that I'm aware of is the Good Shepherd project, which is a separate project. So when I was looking at the SHPO site, the CRIS site, I did notice that Virginia had been out to Henrietta in March and had surveyed a few different locations, both in the East Hamlet and other spots in Henrietta. So I got to get some more information on her to see who requested those, because it doesn't tell you when you look at it. It just says this was looked at, and yes, it's eligible or it's not eligible, as the case may be. So that was it for the project committee reports, unless you guys have anything. So Chapman Corners, the only addition with that until to the information we already discussed will be until the committee gets put together, or I get an email back, or Tina gets an email back.
Right.
I'm really happy that they're willing, her and Bill are willing to do, and very excited about having Native Americans as part of this, because obviously they were here. That would be the only other thing. Tina emailed me a bunch of things that she received from the library downtown, maps, older
Migratory maps.
migratory maps, which I haven't had, hi Lisa, haven't had a real chance to take a good look at yet. But as we move forward, especially with the West Hamlet, because we know that there was villages close to there. So new business was Steve was going to discuss with us for the Good Shepherd Church, the addition to the ramp to the building to make it handicap accessible. But he's supposed to pop in somewhere along the line tonight. So the other new business is Michelle has started the paperwork to register 4495 West Henrietta Road, her cobblestone, where her business is, for consideration for the National Registry. So it is a bit of paperwork. I went online and with Virginia and got hopefully all the necessary information. And apparently with cobblestones, there's an additional sheet that other houses don't require. But we're working on that. And Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, when you have everything, and are you sure you have everything?
Oh, no,
And
not
then-
with yours. You had another person that approached you about this.
Oh, yes, sorry, correct. Yes, the owner of 5569 West Henrietta Road is also interested in going on the National Registry. I have begun the process of going through that, and we're gonna do it in tandem with my property at 1063 Erie Station.
Oh, the paperwork?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? Tyler, how long did it take you from the beginning that you started the process till you actually got approved through the town to do it? What was the time process?
About a month?
Yeah, around that.
It's pretty quick, okay.
Well,
As far as
but-
like what
oh,
Mike
sorry.
Heading did where he got on the National Registry, what type of a time frame does that take?
6 or 8 months.
The one advantage that I had was that Gary and Tina had already done a bunch of research and were just sitting on it, waiting for me to
Right.
apply.
Tyler had been to, I think it was December or was it January?
Both.
Yeah, this past year, remember? And presented everything to us. So we had it and we did a bunch of research getting ready because we were pretty sure he would.
If somebody was to just call you out of the blue, okay, so for instance, this one that Tyler's talking about now, what type of a time frame are they looking at? to
Well,
have it?
By town code, there are set timelines. So once we officially receive an application, which means Becky gets it and it becomes time-stamped at the time, we have 30 days
Right.
to respond. And then from that point, it has to go to public hearing. And I believe is it 60 days for the town to do their part of it? I'd have to go back and read I don't have that with me tonight.
Question of something I should probably know, right?
No, not necessarily. But yes, because the process is it comes to us and then we do a survey. One of us goes out to the property, looks at it and fills out the sheets that we have, the property survey sheet we have. Then it comes to one of our meetings. If one of our meetings isn't going to fall within a time frame like Tyler's wasn't going to, then I get on the phone and I email everything out to everybody and let everybody take a chance to look at things. And then we do a non-meeting vote. From that point, we write a recommendation letter to the town board, which you saw, the ones we did for Tyler. And once the town board receives that, then they do the public hearing, which is, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Becky, I know you know it better than me, but that's typically a 2-week. And then after the public hearing, depending on how the town reacts, there's been instances where we've had a lot of people and it got pushed off until the next town board meeting. Or if there isn't a lot of discussion about it, like there was with Tyler's, then the town board votes that night. So
So you could be looking at what, 3 to 4 months?
that would be pushing to the outside. Most of the time, I'm going to say 2.
I would say 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only been one that I can remember in my time on the committee, which was Kitty's house. That there was a discussion at the public hearing, which required us to go back and do some more research and respond to this person's questions. And we decided the best response with that would be to actually meet with her, the lady who had been asking these questions, sit down and explain what we were thinking, and she could explain what she was thinking, came to an understanding And then we were able to present it at the next town board meeting again, presenting the board with what had happened at the meeting with that person. So I would think 4 months would be on the outside, but part of that is dependent on time of year too.
Just curious.
Summer times, it sometimes take a little more, people go on vacation,
So
you know.
It's definitely can be a fairly quick process.
Yes, yes.
Mhm. Could I just add one thing?
Of course you may. I was going to say, I was looking at my list. All the questions I still have here are for Steve, so
Okay.
go.
This just came in my email today. The Pomeroy Foundation, which is a foundation out of Syracuse, New York, and they will provide under certain parameters historic signage. And they do the big sign, not a smaller sign. So the roadside signs that you see, they have started a new category that they're calling Hungry for History. And it's preserving stories of regional food across the United States. And it's to try to keep culinary traditions alive. And one of the example that was in the email were salt potatoes, which apparently are from the Syracuse area. And they started serving salt potatoes with melted butter in bars in the late 1800s. And so that's the little piece of history that's on this sign. And I'm mentioning it because I didn't grow up around here, and so I don't really know very much about any kind of.
Other than Abbott's and garbage plates, what else are we in Zweigel?
I know, but those are in the city. And, I don't know if, I don't know. So I'm just throwing it out, and, when you have a conversation with somebody, maybe you'll hear about something. And, it's a possibility, but it's just interesting to see what,
Where are they placing that? Where are they going to place that? sign?
it's already placed. I'll send you the email so you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Interesting.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what Henrietta's would be, or what Rochester, other than Zweigel's hot dogs and Abbott's. or
I know.
Zweigel's garbage plates and Abbott's.
Garbage plates.
Yeah,
Yeah, but see, that's not Henrietta, so I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't either,
Interesting.
so.
Okay, Becky just texted me. Steve is here via Zoom,
Okay, good.
so good. So welcome, Steve. You were on the agenda for a couple different things tonight, but mainly the update for the Good Shepherd Church project. You said you wanted to discuss potential addition of a ramp to the building.
Yeah, so we basically, unfortunately, I'm still at the previous event I was at, so I wasn't able to make it, but we basically are looking to do a ramp up the, basically out the east side. So if you're familiar with the church, there's a stone staircase coming up the east end of the north wall. And our plan is to build something over that, and then carry it to the east out to the parking lot. One of the things we were looking at is to try to find a brick that would match or at least complement what was, the existing brick that's on the building. And then we were also debating whether to include a roof or not. But that's kind of what we were looking at. I don't know. Again, I do have plans that I can mail out, although it's just the ramp plans themselves. I don't have any way to do what this would look like on it. But the idea of what we want to do with the brick is essentially, do the facade of the ramp in brick, so that it better matches the building.
Right, so from the road, it would be brick facing the road.
Correct. And, you know, again, if you drive by, you'll see the existing staircase back there, and there's a, you know, tin roof over it. If we do a roof, it'll be more of a traditional gable roof. But you know, we'll follow up when we have those more solid plans. But the reason we want to move fairly quickly on the ramp is the building itself is not even close to handicap accessible. They have multiple steps you have to get up from the main building, and all there is a chair glide, and I don't even know if it's functional. You know, I'd like the space to be available, because as we're talking about some of these, like doing the some of the public discussions for the LWRP and other things like that, that might be a good location to house it, as well as I'd like it to be available if we need it as a polling location.
Right. Yeah, we had discussed that prior. I remember that. So
I don't know if anybody had any questions or anything you would like us to pay special attention to.
Pictures of the side of the building. I can send out.
Hold on, I'm going to mute because it's getting noisy here.
Okay. That I can send out to all of you so you can have an idea of the location on the building he's talking about.
Is it on the east side or the north side?
It's the east end of the north side of the building.
Okay.
So the north side, the back east end, there's a little stairway going up.
Yeah.
And I believe you can actually see it from Google Earth if you wanted to try to call it up. You got it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one there with the little roof over the top of it.
Yep, that's it.
Right. So that would be, you would send us the plans and we would do a review, and then do our recommendation back to you. Do you feel that?
So I'll just make clear, this is for advice only. Technically, if you remember, correct me where I strayed, Becky, for handicap accessible ramps, it actually does not require an Article 10.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask. My next part is a question. I couldn't remember what was said about that.
That's how we handle the West Henrietta Baptist.
Right.
Okay, good.
So this is more just, you know, getting advice from you guys as to what's the best way to do it. You know, so it's, I'll call it more informal than a Article 10, but, you know, it definitely would interested in if anybody has any input, suggestions, you know, in that regards. So the thing I'll add is basically it's a 42-inch drop. So we're going to do it in two 21-inch drops. The reason is you can't drop more than 30 inches without a landing. So we're going to do a 21-inch drop, which for handicap accessible ramps, that's 21 feet out, which brings us to pretty much to the parking lot. There'll be a 60-inch by 60-inch landing, and then the ramp will turn right and essentially go behind the church right along the parking lot. So the handicap parking will be essentially right at the back of the church.
Okay, good.
So will you brick the entire exterior of the ramp on one side?
Yeah, so the outside will be bricked again up to the ramp. So hold on a second. Hey. So yeah, so like I said, basically up to the ramp it'll be there, and then from there on, it'll be some form of railing, but we haven't fully figured out what that would look like. So if somebody has some idea, I wasn't planning to bring the ramp up as part of, or the brick up as part of the railing, because up to the ramp, it can be supported by the legs of the ramp itself. To come up from there, we'd have to then, to make it structural so it could freestand, it would get a lot more complicated.
Right.
Could the landing coming out of the door, would that have to be brick? Is the reason we're going to do that in the same material as the ramp?
Coming out of the door, yes. So again, the ramp will be wider than this existing staircase. So we're not even going to bother to take the staircase out. We're just going to put the ramp right over it. And the side of that ramp coming out of the door facing the, again, that part isn't a ramp, that part is a platform. Coming out of the door facing the street will be a brick facade.
Gotcha. So we're trying to hide the existing stairs. That's why we're going to do that out of brick.
We're trying to hide the existing stairs because they're ugly as sin.
Yep. Got it.
And they're in rough shape.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
So again, that that metal roof would come down, the metal framework would come down. We would put up a traditional gable roof. It would be level coming out and then it would slope down. Basically, it would stay at a constant height above the stairs. Hey, take care of that.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, take care.
Good to see you.
Yep.
Good stuff.
So, so anyway, any other questions on that?
No, the only other question I had received was, now that the ad hoc committee has been formed, do we have an idea yet of when that's going to start meeting?
Soon. We sent some initial feelers out as far as some of the time. So we have a couple schedule challenges, but we'll get there. But probably I'd say sometime, hopefully within the next 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I just, Michelle's not here tonight. She had to work, but she had asked me to find out if you had any further information on that.
Well, other than, like I said, basically we got to put out one of those, what days are you available, and plan accordingly, pick a date accordingly. So then the idea is we'll all go, I figure, potentially even meet over there so we can go inside and look at the different stuff, talk to you about what we were looking at from a bathroom standpoint. Doe Winslow is reaching out to some of the folks where she works to put together some bathroom designs based on what Tim Oates and I basically put together some initial thoughts, and just so we have some floor plans to put together. The hope would be able to have 4 bathrooms they'll all be individual, single stall bathrooms, but 4 of them on the first floor. Because of the layout of that church, they won't all be handicap accessible, but there'll at least be one that are, fully wheelchair accessible. And then, but basically our thought was take care. Whether, we'll have to make a decision as to whether they're all just unisex or whether we have, obviously the wheelchair accessible one would be unisex, but we'll have to decide whether, one's a men's, one's a women's. Maybe the other 2 are unisex.
Doe's a good one for that. Where she works, that's what they do.
Yep. Yeah, so I had her meet Tim Oakes and I over there the other day, and we kind of went through a bunch of stuff. The good news is under that carpeting is hardwood floor, and so we're hoping that we'll be able to sand it down and have hardwood floor in there.
That would be nice. And just so you know, I have not heard back from SHPO from the email I sent asking about potential grant
Okay,
for that.
sounds good.
I'm gonna try to give him a actual call tomorrow.
Okay.
So I do have a couple other quick questions on the thing for you. Do you have time?
Sure.
Okay. Do we have any update on the carriage house donation?
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Hey, nice meeting you. Take care. Thanks, Harry. Yep. Thanks. So the Tinker folks requested that the site shift slightly. So Martin's team has been working on that. It had to move, I shouldn't say slightly, it had to move a decent amount simply because they wanted to push it a little further away, but there's a sewer main that runs through there. So it had to basically jump to the other side of the sewer main. But we've got the site plan. We should be starting the foundation work hopefully next month. Although concrete is hard to come by right now. Concrete isn't necessarily hard to come by. People who are able to drive it and pour it are what are hard to come by. But anyway, that's what it's waiting on right now. We've been in touch with the homeowner. They haven't fully cleaned it out yet, so they're not busy waiting on us yet. So I just want us to be ready because, you know, I certainly wouldn't want to miss out on it because we weren't ready when they were ready. So, but that's where it's sitting right now. We've gotten all the measurements. We're putting together the foundation so that we'll be able to essentially pick it up, move it over, and put it back, build it back in place. Basically, the plan is we'll essentially cut this top floor off. They'll jack it up. We'll take the parts from the first floor, rebuild it. They'll actually bring the second floor over, jack it up again in position. We'll build underneath it, and then they'll lower it down onto the frame that we've just built. So there's no way to move it as a whole. Not to mention the first floor has seen some spreading anyway. So
Yeah, I remember from our survey of that when we went,
right.
and at the bottom is shifting out.
Yep.
Have you, I know you're really busy and there's a lot of things going on. And it was, I think the last time you were here, but one of the town board meetings, you were talking about discussing with other town supervisors, potential tax credit for historic sites.
That's on the Supervisors Association meeting for, I don't remember if it's this Friday or a week from this Friday. That's on the agenda there.
Okay, cool. And then the last thing I had was the Chapman Park. Obviously, Tina and I and Ann's been emailing a lot back and forth, and I'm pretty sure you're on that thread also. But whether we're just going to continue to make suggestions to her and they're going to do their thing, or are we actually going to create the committee?
Good. We're going to be creating the committee, and we've basically, you know, so what I suggested, I haven't seen her response because I was out of the office all day today. Well, not all day, but since 11:30, I've been out of the office. The plan was she wanted to go over a couple things with me and probably Tim Oakes. And so I told her I don't want to keep putting off the first meeting of the committee. So I suggested we pick a time. And so let's say her and I meet at 3:30 and the committee meets at 4, or, you know, 4:30 and the committee meets at 5, whatever. The point being that we'll just do it at the same time. And we'll actually just, again, meet at the park so we can kind of do a walkthrough of what the plans are, and get everybody up to speed.
Okay,
Does
yeah,
that make sense?
I've been asked when it hasn't gone out to the public yet via the web that you're looking for committee members for that. So that was one of the reasons I was asked to ask that question.
That's not one of the ones we already formed,
Not that I'm aware of.
Becky?
We formed a lot of them, but that's not one that we formed yet.
Right, that's the next.
We can put it on for June 28th town board workshop if you'd like. Is that too late?
No, I mean, if I thought we had already had it, so then what I'll do is at this meeting, then this close-up meeting, we'll just have the one with just a handful of us. Gary, I might invite you to that. So maybe me, Tim Oakes, you, and then Ann and Bill.
Okay, yeah, I've met Bill. I've been working at the park with them. But yes, I'd like to meet Tim.
Okay. And then we'll schedule I thought we'd already farmed that ad hoc, but now that I think about it, I was thinking of the Friends of Educators Grove or whatever it's called, the Educators Grove Committee. We got too many committees going on right now.
Right, like I said, I know you're very busy.
Yeah, a lot of irons in the fire.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get that out at so Becky, if I forget when I say, I know there was another one. It's this, it's this committee.
I wrote it down on a sticky note to put in the folder, so I'm ready.
Wondering if we could do a call now.
Yeah, the last time I think we just sort of did an info only to the town board, and then the only resolution we did was establishing it. So if you want
Right.
us to just put it on the website.
Yeah, I think if we send out to that list and we'll put on the website, we'll put out to the Henrietta highlights, we'll start advertising. And if we've got enough respondents by the meeting, then we can just go from there. If we don't have enough respondents, we'll reach out. There's a couple, I'm going to want, again, representative from Parks, representative from Rec, representative from the Historic Site Committee. And then, obviously Ann and Bill, and then probably like 3 at large or something. So, okay.
So
I'll get with you, Becky, tomorrow, and we'll flesh that out.
yeah, and then I'll send an email out to all of the committee with whatever flowery wording you put together to describe this committee. And once it's ready to be
Okay.
posted online, I'll just send them the link.
Yeah, I'll write up a paragraph like I did with the other ones.
Okay, well, that was my last question for you, Steve. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Here, I'm sorry, I missed your lip reading there.
I'm sorry?
I missed your lip reading there.
Oh, I just wondered if you had any questions for him. But, so that was the last thing I had as far as new business was concerned. Anybody else have anything they wanted to bring forward? No? Okay. That being said, I'm going to make a motion to close the meeting at 7:27. Can I get a consensus, please? Ayes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Becky, we're all set. Thanks, Ray.